In this exercise, we're going to look at the 2003 question on functions, and in particular the second part where we look at mathematical functions. Copy and complete the following table of values for the functions g of x equals log to the base 3 of x and h of x equals the cube root of x. Let's start off by looking at the log to the base 3 of x. Let's write that out here. Let that equal a y. Log of 3 to the base x equals y. Another way of conveying that information is saying that 3 to the power of y is equal to x. Okay? So for example, 3 squared, or actually 3 squared is equal to 9. Using the log way of expressing that, we'd sort of say log of 9 to the base 3 equals 2. Okay. Log of 3 to the base 3 equals 1, and so on. I'll do one more here. Log of 3 of 81, that's equal to 4. Okay. I'll actually just partition this slide up a bit, and so it looks like I'm working in sections. So actually, that's just a sort of a quick discussion of what logarithms are. But as a matter of fact, that means I have actually just answered some of the questions. So for example, g, where g is this function up here, g of 9 is equal to log of 9 to the base 3, and that's equal to 2. G of 81 equals log to the base 3 of 81, and that's equal to 4. Okay, so I'm actually going to be able to write in some values here straight away. So that's 4 there. Just as a quick remark, what I have here, g of x equals to 2, that means this is 9. And up here, we can see that log of 3 to the base 3, that means the g of the function g of 3, that will give us 1. So we will put in 3 here. Okay. I guess you might be able to detect a pattern here now quite quickly, but we'll sort of keep going. So I'm just going to switch over to a couple of the other functions, and we look at the cube root of a couple of values. So the cube root of 81, and so on. So this is a bit of calculator work. So I'm going to first off do the cube root of 1. This is a very straightforward one. Cube root of 1 is equal to 1. Cube root of 3 is equal to, wait a sec, 1.44. Cube root of 9 is equal to, let's see now, I'm just working on my calculator here, 2.08. Again, we're actually told we can actually do it to 2 decimal places. It says here, right here, to 2 decimal places. That's what 2 decimal places means. And so on. Now, I'll finally do one more, the cube root of 81. And that is equal to 4.32. Okay. So I've actually done out a few more here. So this is 1, 1.44, 2.08, 4.32. Okay. Now, again, it's a little bit bunched up here the way I have written out. So the next thing we're going to do here is, actually first off, one thing I should mention is how do we do this in the calculator. So if you're not au fait with if you're not that good with calculators, how would you perform something like this? The way you can do it is as follows. I'm just going to clear the screen. So there is we can actually write something to the cube root x, the cube root of 3, or the cube root of x. We can actually write that as x to the power of 1/3. Okay. Now there's a button on your calculator that should look like something like this: x to the power of y. So first off, you would type in, let's say, 9. Then you type in that, you press that button there, x to the power of y, and then finally you actually would sort of say in brackets 1 over 1 divided by 3, something like that. There is no this isn't a button now. It's just a fairly routine operation once you have the rest of it done. So that's how you might find the cube root, working with a simple calculator. So that's an important thing to note as well. We're actually just going to finish off this table now. We actually have most of the work done, but what I'm going to do here is just clear the screen. Something important to note is, what is the log of 3 to the base 1? The answer to that is 0. The reason for it: anything to the power of 0, 3 to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So what goes in here is 0. Okay. Now, next thing is the log of x. The cube root of x is equal to 3. Okay. That means the x equals 3 to the power of 3, and that's equal to 27. Okay. So given this value here, 3, we can find necessarily that this must be 27. Essentially what we're saying is the cube root of 27 is equal to 3. If you're good at mental arithmetic, that should take you only a second to figure out. What we have to do now here is find out what log to the base 3 is. Now this is actually quite easy. This is 3 as well. You might actually even be able to detect a pattern there: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So finally, what is 3 to the power of 5? Like using this construction here, log of 3 to the power of x equals 5. That means x equals 3 to the power of 5. And the answer to that one is, bit of calculator work, 243. It's getting a little bit bunched here. So finally, all we have to do now is compute the cube root of 243. So I'll do this right down the bottom here and we'll wrap it up. Cube root of 243, and that is equal to 6.24. So 6.24. Alright, that's our exercise done.